Okay guys, YouTube says we're live, as Gerald Dundan says, but I'm not Gerald Dundan. My name is Oleg Nikitin, you're watching No Limits On channel, and you're welcome to my tech kitchen. And today guys, I have a pretty big live stream for you. We have 5 new things from the tech world, and today we're going to discuss all of those. So, the first big announcement is that the S-Cinetone is finally here for the Sony a7s III. If you guys are watching this in the recorded mode afterwards, I am saying hi to you. I'm from Russia, by the way, so from Russia with love. And I'm using, guys, the A10 Mini. Hello from the top camera. This is the A10 Mini itself. And if you're interested in the review of this item, I will make one day. Now I'm just testing it out and having some fun with it and actually using it together with my clients to raise up their live streaming game. So let's move back to the S-Cinetone. So right now I'm shooting this part from my Sony a7s III, the main angle, this one, with the S-Cinetone. I have just updated my camera and actually I'm using it in PP11, S-Cinetone as a gamma and also S-Cinetone as a picture profile. It means that you have 11 steps approximately of dynamic range instead of 13 when you shoot in S-Log 3, but you do get the cinematic colors straight out of camera. Also, for me, it's not the best way to shoot because I do enjoy using the S-Log 3. I have a separate video about S-Log 3 shooting, and actually it's a pretty versatile codec if you use this in 10-bit on the Sony a7s III. So I just prefer the bigger, the better dynamic range. And I'm using the S-Cinetone for live streaming, for instance, like right now. And I'll be using it if I do something with no editing or just, the very simple editing. I'm planning on making a video about editing on the go with the A10 Mini and the Atomos Ninja 5. So you'll be shooting a client and editing the video straight right there. When the client is actually talking to a camera, you just simply make some cuts and then you're almost done with the editing. So stay tuned for that, guys. So let's go back to the S-Cinetone. So this profile means that you do lose a little bit of dynamic range, as I said before, but you do get the cinematic colors, and a lot of people have been asking it for a very long time, and actually this profile came from the higher cameras like the FX6 and the FX3, which came out several days before. So let's talk a little bit about the new camera from Sony. They call it a new camera, but I doubt it actually, because it's not exactly a new camera. So let's do like so. So the Sony FX3 is basically the same camera as the Sony a7s III, but in a different style of body, kind of a A7C on steroids. So it has some more mounting points on it, it has a fan, it has some other advantages. I'm gonna tell you about those in a second. But to be honest, it's more of a marketing standpoint from Sony than the actual innovation. It's kind of a renovation of the Sony a7s III, which is not very old in my opinion. So let's go to the features and specs and all that stuff. So it has the S-Cinetone, as I said before, but now the a7s III is also having the S-Cinetone, so it's not a huge, thing. Then it has the new body in a gray color, so it's more of a stylized body closer to the cinema line cameras like the FX6, which is nice, but color is color. It has no EVF, and that's a bummer for me because the EVF on the Sony a7s III is so great, guys. It's the best EVF I've ever used, and actually it's the best on the market, I guess. The Sony A1 has the same one, but it's like a $6,500 camera. So no EVF means that you are stuck to the main LCD rear tilty screen, which is okay. And probably the most professional cinematographers will be using the external monitor anyway. But for me, it's a disadvantage that this camera doesn't have the EVF because you're losing on the point of contact when you're shooting handheld. And during the bright sunny days, if you're traveling, for instance, it's much easier to use the EVF. For instance, when I was in Turkey, in Istanbul, during the New Year celebration, I was using the EVF a lot, and I was shooting with Tamron 70 to 180 f2.8, and it was a pleasure to use because I saw everything. I saw my focus, my autofocus, square on the eyes of people and all that stuff, and it's much better than using the LCD tilty screen. So now let's move on. It has the Xlr K3m Module, kind of in the kit, but it's a little different than the regular K3m. It comes with no microphone included, which is okay because those microphones are so-so. But also you lose on the extension cable from the K3m, and you cannot put it anywhere than the hot shoe of the camera. But it has two screws to put the handle kind of with a pretty strong and good connection to the camera itself, but you lose 2 1/4-20s threads anyway. But it has some more 1/4-20s. Let me show you this handle. So right here. So it's a nice handle. It has some mounting points on it. Also, we have a couple of mounting points on the sides of the camera, the same ports, exactly the same ports as on the Sony a7s III. So the full-size HDMI Type-C, headphones jack, mic jack. Now we have 2 XLR ports on the handle, on the K3m. Also a mini jack port, so we can basically shoot and record 4 channels of audio to this camera. Kind of straightly, but we have to use the handle anyway, and it's okay for me. Let me show you another picture. Here it is. So let's move on to some other features. Okay, the pricing. The price is $3,900, which is $400 more than the Sony a7s III, but if you buy the K3m module, the Xlr module separately, you'll get around $200 more. So it's kind of a $200 less if you buy the Sony a7s III and the K3m, it will be $4,100, and if you buy the FX3, it will be $3,900. Which is okay. If you're planning on buying the a7s III and the K3m anyway, probably you have to kind of take a look at the FX3. Otherwise, I guess the a7s III, the Sony, is better option because of the EVF, just in my opinion, in my case. Also, it has 3 different tally lights up front, on the back, and the record button itself, so you'll be able to see if you're recording at any angle, which is nice. But we lose the mode dial, also the exposure dial. The mode dial is now not a dial anymore, it's a button. Let me show you, like this. So as you can see, right now we have our power on switch right there. The zoom rocker is now the regular, that used to be the switch on, now it's a zoom rocker, so you can use your clear image zoom with this rocker or your regular zoom if you have a power zoom lens. Also, we have some buttons like shutter, white balance, ISO, zebras, and so on, straight on the body. It's kind of more targeted towards cinematographers and videographers, but this camera also shoots stills and photos, which is okay. Let's get back here. So, what else do we have here? It has a built-in fan, which is okay. It's pretty silent, but Philip Bloom was able to overheat this camera in 4K 120, recording for an hour and a half. So kind of the same result as the a7s III, but there is a fan. Probably it's a better solution for the heat dissipation and the heat management. Who knows? Okay, what do we have here also? The same codecs, the same frame rates, the same memory cards, the same everything, just the a7s III in a different style of body. So my solution is that I'm sticking to the Sony a7s III, and if I had a chance, I'd buy the second a7s III camera. Okay, let me check the chat. No one is here. The analytics, only one person is watching. Hello to you. If you're watching it afterwards, hello to you as well. And let's get back to the next thing, which is this one. I'm very excited about this product. This is the Rode Wireless Go 2 and it has a lot of features packed into it. So let me switch to this camera. I have a set of Rode Wireless Go microphones right here. As you can see, they're pretty tiny. Let me do like so. They're pretty tiny, and it's a great benefit of those microphones because you are able to mount them almost everywhere. They have built-in mics, they have an ability to get the lavalier mic inside, and the Rode Wireless Go 2 has a lot of new features. So let's talk about those. So the second generation has exactly the same size. The receiver and the transmitters are exactly the same. So also with the, this clamp, it fits the cold shoe mount. Also, they use the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, which is the most popular frequency for those wireless systems. It's okay, it's pretty convenient and pretty robust. They have two modes, the stereo mode and the mono mode for both transmitters and one receiver. When you record in stereo mode, you record basically two different channels to two different transmitters. So you use both, and during the editing you can split them up and adjust the gain. But if you use the mono mode, you get the mix of both transmitters into one receiver, and you cannot adjust it in different ears. So if you're listening to it, you have both speakers in your left ear and both speakers in your right ear. So it's kind of a mixed. It's a good solution for streaming, for instance, so your audience will hear both speakers simultaneously. Also, one of the best things that Rode have implemented is their app. Let me show you the app right here. So this is the app. It is called Rode Central, and this app allows you to do some incredible things. First of all, through this app, you can record up to 24 hours of compressed audio signal and 7 hours of uncompressed audio signal straight into your transmitter. Right here. No memory card, just built-in memory. So this means that you have a backup of your recording, and it doesn't have to mess up with the frequencies, it doesn't have to mess up with the signal. So if you lose signal for a while, you have a backup option right here, which is great. And you enable this recording through this app. Also here you can set your gain level with 10 steps. Before we had 3 steps, now we have 10 steps in 3 dB increments. So it's a much more precise way of setting your gain. Also, you can export the audio from the transmitter. Let me show you. You have your transmitter, you plug in the USB Type-C cable straight to your computer, and you can upload or download the actual recorded file straight to your computer and work with it. Let me switch back to the app. Also, you can use the 24 dB lower signal as a safety track. So basically what a safety track does is that you record into channel 1 the normal audio signal, and the channel 2 is being recorded with minus 24 dB or decibels. So basically you get kind of a safe platform to work with. If someone is shouting or very loud, you can also kind of adjust it in post, which is nice. So let's move on. Better working distance. Now it's up to 680 feet or 200 meters, which is 4 times more than the first generation, which is very nice, guys. And I hope that now I'm trying to, mess up with my English. I'm Russian anyway. Now I'm able to use this transmitter during my, for instance, wedding reception, to connect it to the recorder and to send the signal to the receiver and straight to my camera, so I'm able to record straight from the mixer of the DJ. I made a separate video about it just today, so I guess on Monday you'll have this video online. Then built-in microphones have the better windshields or the dead cats. Now they kind of have a twisted lock mechanism, which is much better than it used to be. because every time I was putting on the dead cat, it was falling down. I had to use some rubber bands to kind of fix it in place. So now it's much better. Unfortunately, there is no lavalier mic in the base kit. What happens with my voice? Unfortunately, there is no lavalier mic in the base kit, but we have a separate kit with lavalier Go lav mics, and it's pretty expensive, $150 more. We'll talk a little bit later about the pricing. So, USB Type-C ports on the receiver, right here, can be used as, on the receiver, not a transmitter, on the receiver, can be used as an audio interface, and you can plug it straight to your computer or to your smartphone via a special cable and use it directly with your transmitter and receiver combo, which is nice. Also, single tap, let me take it once again, single tap on the receiver right here will make a marker in your recording on the transmitter, and you'll be able to see this marker in your editing software, for instance the Adobe Audition. So you'll be able to know where you had the loss of signal, when you lost your signal basically, and you will replace this part with the internal recorder of the internal recording of the transmitter. I'm kind of a Peter Lindgren style a little bit, you know. So let's move on. It's the lowest latency on the market, so you basically have no latency of the signal, which is good. It has the new LCD screen display. Let me show it to you. So here's the new LCD display. You can see that it has both levels, kind of green bars on top if you have the stereo mode, and one bar if you have the mono mode. You have your Wi-Fi signal, your battery life on all of the units, your gain level and all that stuff. So it's a pretty nice and informative LCD display. Also, this system remembers pairing, so when you pair this one to your left channel and that one to your right channel, the system will remember, and when you turn it on once again, they will have the same channels basically. Also, they are compatible with older, the first generation of Rode Wireless Go, so you can use the receiver and the transmitter from the Rode Wireless Go 1 and the receiver from Rode Wireless Go 2, and they will work. Also, they have a small case in the kit, 3 USB Type-C cables, 3 units, those units themselves, and 1 mini jack cable, which is TRS, not TRRS. So we use TRS to plug into your camera or recorder, and TRRS is a different cable with one more strip on the pin itself. It's used for the connection to your smartphone. So you need to buy a separate cable if you want to use it with a smartphone. And now about the pricing. It has the base kit for $300 and the kit with both lavalier Go microphones for $450. And as far as the competition goes, we have our Holyland Lark 150 with lavalier mics included for $330. And also for $300 we have Saramonic Blink 500 Pro, also with lavalier mics. So it's a pretty tough competition, but for the internal recording, the Rode Wireless Go gets the big thumbs up from me, because it's a pretty new feature and it's very robust, I guess, and it's pretty great to have an additional safety track, safety recording on those tiny small units. But the Lark 150 is also a great choice, because the Lark 150 from Holyland charges via the case itself, and you simply throw into the case the receiver and 2 transmitters, and when you take them out they are already paired and on, and it's a great solution also. So that's been it. Let me check the chat. It's still empty, guys. No, that's okay. So guys, let's move on. The next thing we're going to talk about is a thing, actually. So, what do we have here? This is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro. It's the new model of this BMPCC camera. So, it has some new features. First of all, as you can see, the TLC screen, finally, the screen is very bright. It has 1500 nits of brightness. It's a very good brightness for a camera monitor. Also, it can be tilted in different directions, not to this side, but you know, it's better than the sticked to one place screen. The price is $2,500, which is great because it's $1,000 less than the Sony a7s III, for instance. But to kind of make them closer to each other, you need the EVF. And they do provide you with the EVF, but not in the kit, but right here. It costs $500. It's a pretty nice EVF. We have 4 different loops and eye cups for different people, left eye, right eye, wearing glasses and all that stuff. It's a nice addition. It has a tilting mechanism, but $500 guys, it's just a lot. But it will make your life as a handheld shooter much simpler because this camera does not have the IBIS system, and the extra point of contact with your eye will have a good impact on your handheld capabilities. What else do we have? Built-in ND filters. Finally, we have a camera with this price tag and with built-in 2, 4, and 6 stops of ND, which is very nice addition. You know, the built-in ND filters are great. So I here have the FS7 shooting this angle and recording the sound, by the way, and it uses the ND filters. And after using the FS7, the transition to a7s III was rather tough because I had to buy some screw-on filters and they're not the best quality actually. So the ND filters are a must. Also, it has 2 mini Xlr ports on the side of the camera, so you can basically use your Xlr microphones with phantom power. Just you need a special adapter from mini Xlr to the regular big Xlr. Also, it comes with a battery grip. Unfortunately, I don't have a picture of the battery grip, but basically this camera, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro, such a long name, uses the Sony NP-F570 batteries, and it lasts for about an hour of recording 6K RAW with 1 battery. But the battery grip has a connection in the bottom. It's not sticking inside of the camera, so basically you have 3 batteries in this kind of kit. So you have 1 inside of the camera and 2 hot swappable batteries in the grip. So basically you're getting 3 hours of recording time, which is even more than the Sony's recording time with 1 battery. It's still 1 battery, which is great. So you have about 220 on 1 battery with the Sony a7s III, but you get around 3 hours with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K Pro with the battery grip. The price tag is $150 for the grip itself, so it's a pretty nice price for such a boost in battery life. So that's been it from me about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 6K and our next competitor. Ooh, we have some comments. Hi. Didn't watch from the start, so is the rumors about Yep, S-Cinetone is here. I'm actually shooting in S-Cinetone right now, so this camera angle is using the S-Cinetone, as you probably can see. It's a pretty nice profile, 2 stops less of a dynamic range, but still it's a pretty good out-of-the-box profile. So I just set my white balance correctly with the gray card, and basically this is it. No other adjustments, just the S-Cinetone profile. Do you prefer proxies in Final Cut or on camera? Sorry guys, just my voice is getting tired a little bit. I have a separate video about making proxies in camera, but there are some quirks. For instance, if you shoot in 4K 100 or 120p, you cannot record proxies, and it's kind of a bummer because I do enjoy using the 4K 120 in the camera. So probably if I do use the 4K 120 mode and I don't delete the files during shooting, if I have a wrong take for instance, I do use proxies. If I don't, and if I shoot in 4K 120, I will make it in Final Cut anyway, because you just don't have an option of making proxies with 4K 120. Yeah, the S-Cinetone is true. S-Cinetone firmware upgrade for S7 has been recently. Yeah. I'm just shooting it with it right now. I prefer proxies in Final Cut. Yeah, actually it's a little bit better and more safe not to mess up with the naming system. Nice look. Thank you. I hope that YouTube is not messing around with the colors a lot, because on my Atomos Ninja 5 it's looking okay. Basically the skin tone is nice, and I'm pretty satisfied with the results. So guys, let me switch back to the topic of today's shoot and stream. And here we have our new lens from Sigma, which is the Sigma 28-70 f2.8 DGDN. DN stands for These Nuts. I took this phrase from a guy, he's Vietnamese, and he has a pretty great channel. I forgot his name. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry if you're watching this. You're a great guy. So this lens is a pretty nice new competitor on the market. So it has the 67mm filter thread and filter diameter, which is great. I have a ton of filters with 67mm. Almost all of my lenses are 67mm. It weighs only 474 grams, which is, you know, very not that much. It's smaller and lighter than the Tamron 28-75 f2.8, which is great. It has metal mount and weather sealant around the mount, but the lens itself is not weather sealed, unfortunately. It has no stabilization inside of the lens, but it has the AF/MF autofocus manual focus switch on the barrel, which is a nice addition. In terms of pricing, it costs $900. The Tamron 28-75 f2.8 costs $880, so $20 difference is not a big difference in my opinion. And also we have the Sony 24-70 f4 with image stabilization built in for $900, also the same price. And if you throw in a little bit of cash, $1,100 for the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 DGDN. DN stands for These Nuts. I like this phrase. But it's much heavier at 835 grams and 82mm filter diameter, so it's a much beefier and bigger lens actually. So I do enjoy using some smaller lenses on my Sony a7s III. That is why this would be a great option. I do own the 24-70 f4 right here on the Sony a6400, but actually it's a good solution. 28mm is a little bit tight for me, but actually if you do want the 2.8 option and a very lightweight, it will be a good choice. And now about the performance. It has good glaring performance, so flares are not that distracting and it doesn't lose a lot of contrast. Also, the AF performance is great. The DP Review guys made a big review, so I'm just kind of telling you about it. The well-controlled focus breathing is here, so when you adjust the focus, the picture doesn't zoom in and zoom out a lot. Also, the cat's eye bokeh. The bokeh itself is very nice and a pretty good rendition of bokeh, but during the shoot you can see on the edges of the frame some cat's eye shape of bokeh. It's a pretty common thing about the zoom lenses in general, so it's, you know, it is what it is. It has 9-bladed rounded aperture, so pretty nice and soft bokeh even when stopped down. For instance, at f4, f5.6, it's still pretty okay. Let me check the chat. Okay. Let's move on. About the chromatic aberrations, there are some, but very minimal, so it's a good performance here. The 28mm has strong barrel distortion and the 70mm has the pincushion distortion, also a pretty strong one, but it can easily be corrected via the camera itself or via the editing software with 2 clicks of a button, so it's okay. It has decent sharpness even at f2.8 in the center at 28mm and at 70mm as well, but the corners are pretty soft. It's okay for a zoom lens of this price point and this range, so I guess it is what it is and we have to deal with it somehow. So the corner sharpness is so-so, let me say so. Okay, so nothing new in the chat. Are you okay, guys? Having fun, I hope. So let's switch to a different thing. the last thing for today's stream, and I'm pretty excited about this one. As you can see, this is the new lights from Godox. They're called Godox TL60, and basically these are the competitors for the Nanlite Pavo tubes, which are very, very popular among all videographers. You know, top YouTubers do own a ton of those lights. The Gerald's studio is full of those. The Peter Lindgren studio is full of those. I guess Peter McKinnon is also using those. But the Godox TL60 is a good replacement, and actually they're a little cheaper. So they have a 98 TLCI rating and color rendition and 96 CRI color rendition index. It's a great number, so it has great light quality and built-in light gels, which is also nice. It has the Bluetooth connectivity and the DMX for connecting to the other lights, and you can basically connect several lights, like 2 or 4 or 6 lights, and use the DMX connection and control all of the lights from the app at the same time. So the gaffers will know what the DMX connection is. It's not only a great wrapper with voices, but also a great addition to any lighting kit. So it has 36,000 colors, which is insane. You can basically make it any color. Also, it has the built-in, effects, pretty nice ones like the faulty bulb, the fireworks, the candle, the fireplace, the police car, and all that stuff, and they are very nice quality. The build quality is on par. It has some plastic in it, but it's a good quality plastic. Let me show you some pictures as well. Like so. So as you can see, it has also an LCD panel, so you can see all of your options, functions, and all that stuff. Some buttons right there, and also you can see that it comes in a very nice kit right here. So you have a padded pouch, you have some connectors, some grip stuff, and all that. Let me tell you about the grip a little bit more. So it has a remote, of course, in the kit. Also, it has the music mode, which is nice because when the music is playing, the built-in microphone into the light, the microphone inside the light, guys, it listens to the sound of the music and kind of bounces around, flickers, changes the color to the beat, which is nice for some music videos, music productions, and all that. It will last for about 2 hours on full blast during the regular 5600 Kelvin output. Also, it has some cables for accessories and some clamps and brackets for leaning it in any way. It has some quarter 20s threads in it, so you can basically mount it anywhere, to a stand, to a pole, whatever. And there are some mounting things to be mounted onto this light. Also, these are the flicker-free lights, so you can shoot basically at any shutter speed and it won't flicker for your slow motion things, guys. And let me switch back to here. Now let's talk about the pricing. So the 2 pieces kit comes at around $480, but the Nanlite Pavo tube comes at around $560. So you kind of save around $80 by buying the Godox TL60s, and they are actually very good quality lights, very nice ones. I have a video about my lighting kit, and I'm using the Yonnuo 360 Mark II, kind of a lighting stick, but it has only the RGB mode and the 5600 Kelvin mode, the regular one, but no DMX, no effects, nothing, basically. So these lights are much more versatile and usable, actually, in my opinion. So guys, I guess that's been it from me. Let's see the chat. Okay, so guys, if you have some questions, you have a couple of seconds to write them down, and I hope you have enjoyed this content. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. I always say smash the like and subscribe buttons, but I need my editing software to put those buttons onto my table, so it's not for now. And as far as I see, there are no more questions, so I'm going to wrap up the stream. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy watching this stream, I'm gonna be making some new ones with this setup, the A7 Mini. I hope I will make a full review of this one day, and also I'm planning to make a video about how to edit while you're shooting for a client with using the A7 Mini and some 2 or 3 cameras, so it will be much easier for you to make an edit kind of on the go. So I'll have settings for different cameras to match the color, how to basically connect everything, how to monitor it, how to record it onto your recorder. I'll be using the Atomos Ninja 5, and I think this will be a nice video, guys. And also today I have released the video about the Ronin RS-C2, the smaller one. So if you're interested in gimbals, please go watch that video. Thank you very much for watching. This was Oleg Nikitin from Moscow, Russia, my tech kitchen and No Limits On channel. See you in the next video or in the next stream, guys. Thanks so much for watching. If you've been watching it online, you're a great guy. If you are watching it right now during the recorded session, you're also a great guy. Big thumbs up and hello from Russia with love. Take care, guys. See you in the next video.